A $1 million mansion that is empty. No joy but a new baby. A fashion post that was supposed to be amazing but instead caused a ruckus. What's beyond the enormous glass doors of the Vuolo? Jinger Duggar Vuolo exchanged modesty in Arkansas for opulence in Los Angeles. Fans are also questioning whether she took on more than she could handle. No style, no sofa, no Jana the handyman, and no answers at all. Is this the cost of liberty, or the breakdown of a well-constructed image? Keep your eyes open because what you're about to witness could. Perhaps the most enigmatic Duggar to date will be revealed. When Jinger Duggar Vuolo and her husband Jeremy bought a 4,696 square foot house in Los Angeles with 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a price tag slightly under $1.9 million, it made headlines. At first look, the pair appeared to have achieved true success, eschewing the modesty of Arkansas for the luxury of California. Fans sensed something wasn't quite right, though, as Jinger started sharing tidbits of their new life on social media. Despite being enormous and, despite its stunning architecture, it seemed hauntingly vacant. The large areas and lofty ceilings only served to highlight the lack of furniture. There was an odd echoing emptiness in each picture and video clip. No coffee tables, couches, rugs, or other traces of a comfortable home life. Jinger stood awkwardly in the center of a huge, sparsely decorated house, occasionally showcasing a new kitchen or a staircase, and other times showcasing an ensemble. However, viewers were left with the same query after every post. Did you? Do they neglect to shift the furniture around? Chatter on the internet quickly increased. Speculation erupted on Reddit comment sections and threads. The Vuolos, according to some, were house-rich but cash-poor, experiencing the all-too-common millennial predicament of owning a great property, but not being able to furnish it. Others liken the house to a digital Sims construct in which the player used all of their virtual funds to create a fireplace, walls, and windows, leaving little money for useful furniture like beds or chairs. What made it even more? The contrast between the house's magnificence and its lived-in, or lack thereof, feel was stark. This house wasn't a starter. The property was worth millions of dollars and was located in a posh area of California. However, rather than being spaces intended for actual family life, the rooms appeared more like staging settings. Curiosity was aroused by the chilly, eco-friendly surroundings. After almost 9 months, was it really possible that they hadn't purchased any furniture? Or was there a deeper issue at play? A few supporters attempted to defend the couple, pointing out that, particularly during continuous supply chain interruptions, custom furniture can take months to arrive. Waiting more than a year for a couch was mentioned by one user. Others noted that furnishing a house this size, particularly with upscale tastes, is not an easy or inexpensive task. However, critics swiftly overshadowed even these defenses, wondering how influencers with media exposure and marketing deals could be without even the most basic necessities. Then the theory that struck nearest to one's house. Perhaps this has nothing to do with furniture. Perhaps the emptiness represented something else. Stress from money, personal overload, or even emotional exhaustion. Fans are beginning to believe that, despite having purchased their ideal home, the Vuolos may have entered an unsustainable nightmare of pressure, expectations, and artistic performance. An expensive echo chamber does more than just reflect sound. It could be intensifying a more profound quiet in their life. As the, on paper, Vuo's nearly $2 million house exudes wealth, but the truth behind its deserted walls is much different. One with upscale tastes that strongly conflicts with budgetary or practical constraints. It's no secret that Jeremy and Jinger have grown to appreciate finer things. The couple's preference for a refined and well-curated look is evident from Jinger's love of boutique apparel to their investment in a completely remodeled kitchen. However, when it comes to outfitting the remaining rooms of the house, the outcomes are perplexing. Fans anticipated material about interior design. Instead, they saw open outlets, bare floors, and Jinger posing in jumpsuits in rooms that resemble waiting rooms rather than cozy family settings. Entire threads are devoted to analyzing why the furniture, or lack thereof, has become such a source of preoccupation. With their Amazon futon budget, 2 influencers with upscale reputations seem to be living like fresh college graduates. To be honest, some contend that selecting fine custom furniture requires time, particularly if the Vuolos are staying away from big-box retailers like Target or IKEA. Additionally, if they like handcrafted designer products, the cost is just as important as time. One couch might cost thousands of dollars. The delay begins to make sense when you multiply that by each room in a house that is almost 5,000 square feet. Even after 9 months, with no discernible improvement, viewers are no longer buying the patient's story. The perceived inclination towards more accessible furnishings is one of the main points of criticism. Numerous admirers have noted that many genuinely affluent people still enjoy a nice IKEA hack or a combination of high and low design pieces. It's difficult not to consider this as an example of aspirational living surpassing realistic planning. Though, given that Jinger and Jeremy appear to be aiming for just the best things, the fact that they obviously didn't hesitate to spend a lot of money on their kitchen just serves to stoke the flames. The immaculate cabinetry, high-end equipment, and polished worktops show that upgrades were given precedence over function elsewhere. The duo made sure the area where they primarily shot their content had a high-end appearance. Viewers in other places, however, believe the funds ran out, or at least ran low. Not to mention the unanticipated expenses of relocating to a large new residence. Baby equipment, storage systems, gardening, and window coverings are available, particularly significant since shortly after they moved in, Jinger gave birth to their third kid. What appears to be an aesthetic misfire could very well be a tale of strained resources, conflicting priorities, and possibly some poor timing. Jinger's silence over the condition of the house is particularly startling to observers. There is only careful cropping, posing, and hoping that no one notices the camping chairs in the corner. No mention of the beeness or behind-the-scenes decorating with my stuff. However, the internet has taken note and isn't going to ignore it. A larger, more pressing topic arose as more admirers started to wonder about the Vuolo's almost empty house. Emerged. All the money is going where? It's no easy task to purchase a $1.9 million home in one of the most costly states in the nation. A new baby, several cross-country journeys for Duggar family weddings, and a complete kitchen makeover make things less organized than their Instagram profile indicates. First, let's address the obvious. California is not inexpensive. In Los Angeles, basic living expenses, utilities, insurance, and property taxes can consume a family's salary at lightning fast. The mortgage comes next. Without factoring in other homeowner expenses like maintenance, cleaning, or repairs, the monthly mortgage alone on a $1.9 million home could easily reach $9,000 to $10,000, assuming a typical down payment and loan. So, how are Jeremy and Jinger able to support this way of life? Concerns have been made about Jeremy Vuolo's function as a pastor. Depending on the church and area, clergy in California may make more than average salaries, although few anticipate that pay alone might maintain such a way of life. Jinger, on the other hand, makes money from affiliate links, sponsored material, and her co-written book, which is now free. However, none of her public endeavors seem to consistently generate high-level influencer funding. This raises the possibility that they are either spending their funds or receiving significant assistance. Additionally, the arrival of their third kid results in increased costs for everyone. Medical expenses, childcare, equipment, and perhaps sending their older daughter to a private school. Supporters believe the Vuos are spending money on their kids' Christian-based education. If that is the case, each child would receive an additional few $1,000s a year. Not to mention the 2 Duggar weddings that occurred inside a year. Jose's in Tennessee and Jana's in Nebraska. For a family of 5, the cost of flights, lodging, and clothes quickly mounts up. Cross-country travel twice a year is expensive, particularly when attempting to keep up appearances for public gatherings for families. Given his obvious passion for high-end shoes, some fans make fun of Jeremy by joking that he is covertly spending their savings on trainers. Others hypothesize that he might be spending money on image-focused personal upgrades like fitness coaching or air restoration. Though the return on investment is unknown, Jinger's own fashion choices, which are frequently hit or miss, point to an attempt to update her boring. In other words, they're spending, but not always in ways that viewers can understand. Above all, The discrepancy between the Vuolo's well-preserved public image and the obvious stress that is showing through the cracks is being noticed by admirers. The pair appears to be playing a high-stakes game of lifestyle roulette, as seen by their empty rooms, dubious clothing, and radio silence over money. Furthermore, the lack of transparency is concerning even though no one expects them to reveal their bank statements. Even though the large house was only a dream, dreams have expenses. And to many onlookers, the Vuolos might be on the verge of awakening. When Jinger Vuolo shared a picture of herself posing in what many characterized as a mechanic's jumpsuit, followers were even more perplexed than they were by her vacant home. It was more than just personal preference. The unattractive fit, dull color, and strange match with thick boots caused a complete style crisis, prompting a barrage of internet comments with comparisons ranging from District 13 from The Hunger Game to skydiving instructors. Sarcastically remarking posts flooded social media. Is she displaying? One user joked, is it the echo in the room or the outfit? Although Jinger's style has always been understated and basic, this ensemble touched a nerve, particularly given the big vacant property that served as her backdrop. Another person remarked, she looks like she's about to rotate the tires, not host a brunch. Viewers questioned whether the Vuolos had completely lost their hold on both style and functionality after seeing a stark living room, and what appeared to be industrial work here. Way of life. However, the criticism of the attire went beyond looks. It spoke to a more profound story about freedom and identity. Jinger had been dependent on her sister, Josh Duggar, for years. Frequently regarded as the family's go-to source for general life logistics, design, and home improvement. Jinger seems to be handling her post-Jana reality alone now that Jana is married and residing in Nebraska. And that independence is manifesting itself in ways that aren't always flattering to fans. Many conjectured that the ensemble was Jinger's attempt to keep up a cool mum persona following the birth of her third child. If so, the translation mistranslated the message. She received eye rolls and costume roasts in response to her confidence in her ability to bounce back, rather than compliments. One commenter said, she thought she ate here. A colloquial expression for, I thought I looked good, but I didn't. Others, however, conjectured that the ensemble was her subtly changing public persona. She might be leaning towards a more practical, grounded style that better suited her new situation as a mother of 3 living in a huge fixer-upper house. However, supporters argue she must stick to the plan if that's the case. At the moment, it reads more jumbled than well-curated. The lack of self-awareness was what made the situation even more annoying for the followers. Jinger ignored the odd fashion statement, the mismatched window panes, and the minimalist scene. There was merely a caption with no irony or explanation. Glossy image of a woman wearing boots indoors, standing by herself in a large room, and seemed rather irritated. It was strangely performative, tone-deaf, and disjointed. The huge costume controversy therefore turned into a symbol. It was more than just bad style. It concerned a public figure who appeared to be out of touch with her home, her audience, and possibly even herself. Although it may not have been Jinger's intention, her jumpsuit communicated a lot during a time when authenticity would be more valued than ever. As rumors about Jinger and Jeremy Vuolo's strangely empty house and unconventional style choices spread, a new notion started to emerge among followers and admirers. Perhaps this has nothing to do with style or interior design. Perhaps we are seeing something more profound. A creeping unraveling, a covert breakdown with echoing rooms and fancy boots. Initially, some attempted to portray the Vuolo's stark appearance as a deliberate decision, a contemporary minimalist way of living. Ultimately, minimalism is popular, particularly in California's spheres of influence. It places a strong emphasis on clutter reduction, deliberate living, and simplicity. However, the more people observed, the more the Vuolo's brand of minimalism appeared to be nothingness rather than a way of life. Just empty space, not carefully manicured emptiness. No plants, lamps, rugs, or other indications of deliberate design. There was no sense of purpose. Something seems to be missing. This was not the Jinger that devoted admirers had known for so long. The woman in question was once spent happy times, cooking at home, and remodeling closets with her sisters. However, that lively connection appears to have waned in Los Angeles. Jinger's right-hand woman is no longer there as Jana got married and moved to Nebraska. There is also a noticeable sense of physical, emotional, and possibly even spiritual estrangement, because her family is still primarily from Arkansas and their relationships are strained as a result of Jinger's memoir. In addition, you have to deal with the stress of caring for 3 small children, recovering from childbirth, and being far from relatives. Support, as well as upholding a public persona based on composed faith and carefully planned success. And it begins to resemble survival mode rather than deliberate minimalism. Fans are starting to wonder, is Jinger okay? Her lack of involvement is also concerning. She isn't talking about the elephant or the room's lack of furniture. No updates on the home tour. Our dream house reels must be furnished with seriousness. The minimalist uniformity and reverberating walls have no explanation. It's the loudest thing is quiet. The strained smiles, the blank walls, the silence. Jeremy also doesn't seem to be participating in the discussion. Although he emphasizes religion and lifestyle branding on social media, there isn't much information about their actual home life. Some even theorize that their marriage might be under silent strain as they maintain appearances while balancing fatherhood, leadership, money, and public scrutiny. For any marriage, let alone 2 people bearing the burden, it's a lot of their own spiritual rebranding and a contentious final name. Fans are divided in the end. Some people think the Vuolos are just taking their time creating a house that embodies their principles and tastes, deliberately, discreetly, and with care. Others believe we're witnessing something more unadulterated. Fatigue, overburden, or even a lack of enthusiasm for the life of an influencer. One thing is evident. Regardless of whether it's a subtle plea for assistance or a real-life minimalist makeover, it appears that the Vuolo's new life in California, not at all like the well-groomed, idealized dream that many people had anticipated. And that's perhaps the most truthful aspect about it. Let's review. More questions than furnishings are reverberating throughout Jinger Vuolo's $1.9 million home. Fans are yelling District 13 at her sense of style, and it's possible that Sister Jana's absence is leaving more than just empty walls in her wake. Is this the silent breakdown of California tranquilly? Or is this a minimalist dream gone wrong? There's no denying that the Vuolos might have fled Arkansas. However, they were followed west by the drama. If you figured out every clue, hit the like button. To stay one step ahead of the family fallout, ring the bell and tap subscribe to ensure you never miss a twist. Continue to be adventurous, curious, and as always, amazing until the next time. Fame Family.